drive.
Right? So you've got your test drive. And then the next thing after that is you need to go for the maybe a one-to-one in-depth sales call. And you have to negotiate. Right? And hopefully close the deal.
Yeah, it's back to the playbook, right?
Yeah, back to the playbook. And then it's not over then though, is it? What has to happen after that?
Deliver.
After sales.
You have to deliver.
Yeah. Or delivering follow-up.
Whatever it is you sold them. Now, all goes in that direction. Right? This is the goal, to deliver something. Okay? Now, one of the things I see a lot, right, is where people skip bits in here in this process. And then they still expect the process to work. Right? And this is going back to the steps and what it really takes to get to where you want to go. So your first thing is you need to attract them. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And who is the best person in this room right now at helping attract people to you?
IFA, SEO.
It's IFA. And IFA has her SEO. Right? Now, IFA will help bring all these people to your website. But what will happen if your website, no fault of IFA's, isn't communicating properly? What if the story on your website just makes you look like everybody else?
Blame IFA anyway.
And then we go and
I
blame
never
IFA.
let it happen.
Right? I bet you, IFA, I bet you it happens though, doesn't it?
Oh, all the time. It's the first
All
thing
the
we
time.
text messaging.
Yeah. So this is probably the bane of your life, is it? People who want you to fix a broken website by just attracting more and more people to it.
Yeah. Make it work.
Make it work for me here. And then you can't make it work, right? They say, please make it work, and you take the money off them, and then nothing happens. And what do they call you?
I fire the customer first.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay. But do you see what I'm saying, guys? Okay. So the first piece of pie that goes into the Trivial Pursuit is that you have the SEO. But before you have the SEO, you have to have the website right. Otherwise, they'll turn up, it doesn't communicate to them, and what do? They walk away. And what has just happened to the money you paid for the pay-per-click?
Gone.
Gone.
It's lost.
Right? Lost. Right? I was reading a thing on LinkedIn yesterday, right? There's a guy in England, he'd been into a business. 5,000 euros a month they were spending on Google Ads. 5,000 euros a month they were spending on SEO. Right? To get people to the door. What were they spending a month on improving the salespeople when they got to the door?
Zero.
Zero. And they were wondering why this 10 grand was disappearing every month. Right? So it all goes down through a certain process. So the next one that's in the pie is to know how to speak to the person and how to put the right thing out for the test drive. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that we'll call the test drive, again, is like the brochure. Or that kind of thing, okay? Then the sales call. How many of you actually know how to carry out a proper sales call?
God, no.
Or do you just turn up and start talking and hope they love you?
Turn up and throw up.
Show up and throw up.
Yeah.
Right? How many of you do that?
Right? Works all the time.
Only way.
Okay, right, that's yeah. So that's another piece of the pie. Would you agree that if we had that piece of the pie filled properly, we'd be going in the right direction?
Okay.
Yeah. Then negotiation. Who loves a bit of negotiation?
Yeah.
Everyone.
No.
It's horrible, isn't it? No one likes it. You hate it. You come to it from a point of weakness all the time anyway, because by the time you get to negotiation, what do we say? You're at the point of saying to the customer,
Buy it from me, please.
please buy my thing, right? And they can smell the fear. right? They know they're ready to grab you by the throat, right? So what if we could do away with that,
Oh, yes, please.
right? By putting all the steps. You see, in actual fact, people say negotiation starts when you start talking about money. It doesn't. Negotiation starts when Aoife sends them to your website. The perception they get the moment they see your website already starts the negotiation in their head of what they're going to pay for you. Do you believe me?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 As I've said to you before, you look at the Skoda website and you look at the Mercedes website. If you knew nothing about cars, you already know one is more expensive than the other. You already start talking about the negotiation in your own head. You should all be doing exactly the same as that. Okay? So putting all that in, that's another piece of the pie. Learning how to close. Do you think that's a piece of the pie?
Oh, yeah. Closing is really tough.
It's really, really hard, right? Imagine if you never had to close.
You always have to close.
I don't.
That's because you talk them to death.
That's what you do. Anyway, the next thing is the delivery. Because when you've done all that, what do you want the customer to do?
Come back.
Come back. So if your delivery isn't right, will they come back?
Yeah.
No.
If your delivery isn't right, will they bring their friends?
No.
No.
If your delivery isn't right, will they give you a good review?
No.
No.
Okay? So each part of that has to be to a certain standard. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Has anybody ever laid that out for you before? No. What would it mean to you to have all that right? Would it make your life easier?
Yep.
Would it be?
Would it get you closer to that 100K a year? Would it get you closer to that million?
Yes.
Yes, of course it
The
would.
retirement fund.
Okay. Sorry?
The retirement fund.
I never mind about retirement. It'll make life easier today. Right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want life easier today?
Me.
Louise doesn't. She's leaving. Look.
Okay.
She just wants life to stay difficult, right? Now, well, the thing about it is, most people look at stuff like this and they go, that's too good to be true. Oh, that'll never happen. Oh, I'll never get around to that. Oh, there's too many steps in that. So what do? They
Nothing.
look for the what?
Easy.
Someone to blame.
They look for
Excuse.
the easy way out. They look for the blame and they queue up at Aoife's door, right? Will they ever get to the million?
No.
No.
But they also don't have to take any personal responsibility. There's a lot of upside there, Peter. You might be broke, but you don't have to take any ownership.
But that's the thing. It's back to what we said at a couple of sheets before about the, where was it? The event. Do you want to let events control your life, or do you want to control your life?
Yeah, I love that, Peter, actually. It's
Are
so,
you going
so
to
relevant.
put in the response to get the outcome and put in the effort, right? Does that all make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah? Okay, so the first thing I believe in getting this right is to actually, here's the thing, imagine you decide that you wanted to get an outside tap for water in your plants. But the mains is at the front of the house and you want the tap at the back. If a plumber comes in and just starts digging up the floor willy-nilly, working his way through the house, by the time he gets to the back wall, how close is he going to be to where you want the tap?
Well, you'd expect bang on after all that digging, you know.
Well, you'd expect it. But if you know yourself, if you're 1 degree out on a line at the start, how far out is it at the other end?
Yeah, a long way.
Mile off.
Right? So what happens is most people start digging at one end and they end up 2-3 feet, a meter away from where the tap needs to be. And then they've got to fix it. What if you started with the tap and worked your way back to the mains, that when you get to the mains, all you've got to do is click it on and immediately you have water coming out in the right place? Does that make sense? Would that make life easier?
Absolutely.
So what I suggest is start with delivery. What are you delivering and how are you delivering it well? Do the simplification that I talked about with the menu. What is your equivalent of breaking it down into somewhere between 3 and 5 things that you can do really, really, really well? Okay, I'll just show you. I'll give you examples of all of these things, right? For self-employed people, I used to have 5 courses. And in preparation for today, I sat down and I thought about it and I said, you know what, it's too complicated. I need to simplify it, right? So I've come up with 3 courses, for example, that would suit you guys, right? Now, here's how they work. To start with, my pen is running out here, sorry. Start with, some of you have done one with me before called Rip It Up, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, which was learning how to, or find your ideal client, how to talk to them and stuff like that, right? Now, but I've decided to change that because Rip It Up sounds like what? Way too much work, right? But if we call that Level Up, so that is your foundation, okay? That is where it starts, who your ideal customer is, how to find them, how to communicate with them, and what makes the difference to that, so that at least you know your value proposition. How many of you, if I asked you to stand up right now, this very second, could give us a compelling value proposition that makes you stand out from the crowd?
Wouldn't have the confidence of that.
Don't all start screaming at once, by the way.
Gillum there has his hand up. Good man. Just put it up higher, you know. Don't be afraid of it. Come on, show us.
But the thing is, it's very rare, right? Isn't it?
Good man,
Imagine
you're very
having
rare,
it, what
Gillum.
difference it would make to you, right?
Yeah.
So, Level Up is the first one that I have. It makes sense. It's there. It creates your foundation. Imagine if you could get that out there into the world, use your story and hand it to Aoife to bring you clients. What difference would that make to you? Would that start to make your life easier? Of course it would. Okay. Now, the next one then is the face-to-face, whether it's Zoom or whatever, the actual in-your-face sales call, the one that's going to get you over the line, right? I've written a 10-step process, just 10 small steps. But what happens is, if you get to step 10, you have the business with no discount. You mightn't always get there. I'll show you how to come out of it. But what difference would it make to your life if you had 10 steps that guaranteed you a sale?
Fantastic, Peter.
Yeah,
Right?
We all want to
So
be
we
like
life
that.
easy. Yeah.
Step is up. Do you like the way these work? Right? Anyway, so you get that. Now, you start using it, you start practicing it. When does something good come easily?
After practice.
Never.
Yeah.
After
When you make it,
practice.
yeah.
Right? Okay. Always remember with any of these things, right? And this is for the same for you guys, right? How quickly, I pick on Aoife again there, right? How quickly does SEO work? Does it work the first go?
You know,
A marathon.
It's a marathon, right? So remember this. This is for everything you ever do in your life, guys, right? This stuff works over time. It doesn't work overnight. But how many of you give up when something doesn't work the first go?
Me.
Yeah, always you, Rob.
Not me.
Anyway, isn't that a great line? These things work over time. They don't work overnight.
That
Love
is
it.
the quote
Yeah.
of the week.
Yeah.
Right? So you have level it up, you have step it up, right? And then you get these two, everything's going fine. What is your goal down the road, guys? I mean, why are we here? Why do you have a business?
Glutton for punishment.
Or is it just for something to get through the day? Right? Or is it to get that million in 10 years?
Yeah. Retire
Is it to
with the
have
gas.
Somewhere in between.
a long-term goal, right?
The choice,
Okay.
the choice and the balance.
And
Yeah.
the choice and the balance. Now, if you had the choice and the balance, what difference would it make to your life?
Some hungry ambition.
Okay, so the third one is called live it up.
Ah, lovely.
Live it up.
Okay, and that is where you get practice. You get this one right, you get this one practice, and then the top one is you take that and I show you how to put in a long-term strategy so you can live the life you really want. Now, this wasn't done to be an advertisement for me. This was done to show you. Remember we talked, was it 2 weeks ago, about the power of three? Put stuff into the 3 easy steps so that they make sense. What do you do that you could break down into 3 like that to make it easy for your clients? Right? The other thing is, when I explained that there, did it make sense going in those directions?
Yeah.
Right? What do we all want in life? We want to be so successful and get to the penthouse, don't we? We want to buy the penthouse or whatever it is, right? Or the house on the hill with the view. Can you have the penthouse? So they live it up, it's the penthouse. Can you have the penthouse without building the foundation?
No.
But it would stagger you how many people come to me and they want the top one first. Is it going to work?
No.
No. Right?
It's out of sequence.
Has to be in the sequence, right? So anyway, does that make sense? How can you apply that now to what you do?
With a lot of work.
What if we could make that easy for you?
Yes, please.
This is the guide.
Right? What if we could
The
give you
guide,
that
the manual.
guide? Right?
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? Now
Yeah.
we're starting to see how the pieces of the pie fill up. Okay? And there are other ones as well. You can't run a successful business by ignoring the bills and ignoring the paperwork. So another piece of the pie is Lisa. Right? You've got to
Been
have
called
all-
many things, Peter, but not the piece of a pie.
Listen, Lisa, if you're going to help me win Trivial Pursuit, you can be called whatever you want, right? But I tell you one thing, you're going into that pie tin, right? Whether you like it or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, do you see what I'm saying, guys? They're all part of it.
Right, Lisa.
Okay,
I don't know whether
always
I-
remember the military. You can't have just the trade. You have to have the strategy. You have to have the bits and pieces. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to be able to not just over deliver on the product. You need to over deliver on your marketing, over deliver on your selling, over deliver on absolutely every piece of the pie. And then what an incredible thing happens. Your business starts to take on a momentum all of its own. How often do you sit there at the moment and you're looking at half your week talking to people about maybe doing business at some point?
Oh, that's an awful lot.
It's soul destroying, isn't it? Right? I did a bit of research there a few weeks ago. Did you know that your average self-employed person in Ireland in 2020 has actually charged out their full hourly rate less than 25% of their time?
Yeah, well believe it.
I'd well believe that, yeah.
Soul destroying, right? And one of the reasons is because they spend the other 75% of the time looking for the work. because they haven't got the system in place to do it for them. That all makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we could do this, if we could put the system in place that it follows down, so that when you get to actually delivering your product or service, you have more time to put the effort into it, to polish it. How often do you spend so much time trying to find work that when you actually get the work in, you haven't time to do it properly? It happens to us all, doesn't it? Right? And then you hand out something and you go, oh God, I wish I'd had 5 more hours or 2 more days or whatever it was to actually make that brilliant. What difference would it make if you had that time? If you could do that over-deliver, be that over-deliver, right? Because if you could do that, and your customers were staggeringly happy with you, how often do you think they'd come back?
Repeatedly.
All the time. Why would they go anywhere else?
Because I've told you this before. What did I tell you when it comes to presentations? Who needs to be the hero?
Them.
They do.
Them.
Your customer needs to be treated like the hero, or to be shown how they can become the hero. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
But can you imagine if you could make what you have helped your customers become a hero, and then in turn, you became their hero. If you were your customer's hero, but they felt like a hero too, what kind of a relationship do you think that would form?
Heroic.
Heroic.
Win-win.
And what did we say? Do you think they'll turn up with Bob and say, do for Bob? Do you think they'll turn up with whoever and say, do it for them? And then how easy do they become customers? And this is what I'm saying. This is when your business builds momentum. And you can do away without the long sales cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So who'd like to make their customers a hero?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who'd like to be a hero?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You'd like
Now,
to
the
be a
customer is
hero?
supposed to be the hero.
Which?
Yeah,
You're supposed to be the sage, not the hero.
The sage,
No,
yeah.
here's the thing.
They're
Here's
the
the
hero.
thing.
We're the superheroes.
We can be, I know I've said this before, in the sales cycle, we become the sage. When we're working with them, we become the sage. But what happens is when you form the right relationship and you constantly over-deliver, yes, they are the hero, but they start to see you as their hero too.
Yeah.
And what
And a
difference do you think?
hero comes along. Is it Mariah Carey? Is that what we're doing today?
So, guys, we are now at 3 minutes to 3. Have we learned something today?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Tons.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have we been inspired to go and do something differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who'd like to finish off with a little boogie?
Yeah. Don't make me do that. I feel
Can you hear that?
I could be king.
that's a big thing. Love it.
And you could be
I have Christmas lights and all to go with the boogie.
Oh, I was wondering what the flashing
Poor
was.
Lisa.
Lights and everything.
There, blessing.
the triumph of the day. We could be
Who knows the song?
Don't go the wrong way, am I?
Yeah.
just for one day. We could be heroes just for one day. Oh, well, we
Come on, get up, guys.
like dolphins.
Let's go into
Swim. Cause we're lovers, and that is the fact.
Crank it up.
Cause we're lovers, and that is that. And nothing
Oh dear.
us together.
Sister,
How we can beat them
you hear?
just for one day. We can be heroes just for one day. Yeah. We can be heroes. Yeah. We can be heroes. I said, we can be heroes just for one day.
I've waited for my time.
And no one will help us. Maybe we're lying. Then you better not stay. We could be heroes just for one day.
Brilliant.
Now, guys,
Awesome.
we just turned something off here. There we are. Because see, even though it's finished, I was still hearing that in my headphones.
Ah.
Guys, before everybody else goes, thank you for coming along again this week. I do have a little bit of news. After today, there will only be 2 more Pitch Perfects.
No.
No.
It's finishing on Friday, the 11th of December. And I
Oh.
look forward to seeing all of you guys here next week. Have a super duper
Oh.
weekend.
Okay.
We'll make it the
Okay,
best
guys.
news ever.
See ya.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye.
Peter.